We'll begin with some remarks by Mike Radcliffe.
I'm Irish and I'm from a big family, so I can talk loud and fast, right? But if I talk really fast, you have my permission to stick your hand up and say, slow down, okay? Can we have the next slide, please? Sustainability and how is it relevant to today's conference about climate change? After all, aren't we talking about global warming and not this whole sustainability or green thing? Do you guys think it's relevant to today's conference at all? Yeah? That's a question that we're going to explore for about the next 10 minutes or so, and then we'll have a little Q&A. What do we mean by sustainability? Did I skip a slide?
Might have.
I think we did. Right, here we go. Okay. I've been in the sustainability business for over 20 years. Seems odd, but I started out in Europe and other places with folks like the Body Shop International, Home Depot, who truly had global business models. Yeah? So we start out and we ask ourselves, what is sustainability? And I said, I know. I was a good academic and a guy with a PC and a high-speed connection. Guess what I did? Googled it, right? Guess what? There's about 700 some odd definitions of sustainability. Some of them are in direct conflict with one another, right? So how do we get our arms around this, right? As business people, as community leaders, as not-for-profit folks, how do we get our arms around this sort of thing? I think the key is to understand, before we can talk about how climate change fits into sustainability, is to understand what it is, right? And looking out over the years, there's one thing that I've seen that almost every one of these definitions has in common. And that is what's called the triple bottom line. Shell, I think Royal Dutch Shell did an outstanding job in defining this as people, profit, planet, right? All in balance. You can't make profit without people. I don't know a business that doesn't, in some way or another, rely on the planet for something, right? And let's face it, we live in a world driven by markets, right? If you're not profitable, apologies to the nonprofits in the room, but if you're not profitable, what happens to you, right? In this economy, you can't make a go of it, right? How does that help sustainability if I drive you out of business? Doesn't, does it? It hurts it, actually, because I have one less participant on that sort of thing. So what we've talked about in terms of broad definitions of what sustainability is, it's that balance point, right, between all three of these. As sort of an anecdote, I was the environmental affairs manager for about a Fortune 200 global company for quite a while. Guess where I operated? I operated a very small silo, right? My job was one thing, keep our names out of the paper, right? Make sure we comply and keep our names out of the paper. That's why we have the upside down triangles, right? Because below a certain level, environment, profit, human resources, community action, charitable giving, foundations, whatever, right? All seem to want to operate separately with their own agenda. But under sustainability, all of these things come together, right? To not only create business value, but to leverage off one another. So sometimes it's easier to talk about, not about what sustainability is, but what isn't it, right? What isn't it? And I've come up with three generic cases. Profit only. Okay, we don't have to go back too far in American history or European history or mankind's history to talk about when that model presided, right? You blow out the side of a mountain to get at the goods. right? You build railroad lines through rare forests. You do whatever you have to do. Maximize that profit, right? Carnegie and those kinds of fellows. Yeah? Maximize the profit. No such thing as unions, no such thing as worker rights, no such thing as environmental issues. Profit is what matters. Is that an old mindset? There is a Nobel Peace Prize winner in economics from the University of Chicago that said, what matters first? Profit. Return to shareholder. That's all that matters, okay? So it isn't that old. Okay, let's go on the other end of the extreme. Green utopia is what I like to call it, right? How many people have seen commercials about green utopia? I see quite a few every day, right? Where everything is in harmony and this, that, and the other. Let's face it, we live in the real world. There's impacts, right? I know that, you know that, right? Some trade-offs have to be made. People also matter, as well as an endangered species, a great whale, or anything else. People also matter. We're part of this planet. So a great utopia, a great green utopia, just isn't practical. Philanthropy, right? The great givers of the world. I mentioned Dale Carnegie. He opened up a lot of public libraries and did a lot of good. Yeah? What did that, what's that old Chinese proverb? Teach a man to fish and he fishes for life. Give a man a fish and you feed him for one day. That sort of thing, right? How did that help the sustainability of the planet? How does philanthropy help that sustainability in and of itself? And I would tell you that all three of these models have one thing in common. They lead to extinction. Right? They all lead to extinction eventually. Profit only, what happens? I was in an economics course once, back when I actually had some more hair, and the prof said, I want you to come up with this, that, or the other. And being a young revolutionary at the time, a real greenie, right? We were challenging him on all these environmental impacts and why aren't they being accounted for in the economic concept of value and taxes and those sorts of things, right? And you know what? It's actually easier if you're making teak desks to go out and clear cut every teak forest there is in the world, right? Build it into product, ship it, sell it, discount it, whatever you got to do. Take your winnings or your profits and invest in the market, right? It's economically viable. But what did you do to your business? What happened to your legacy, right? What happened to the community of the workers and everybody else that depended on you? It's what? It's extinct. It's gone. Yeah? It's forever gone. So it depends on natural resources. So the idea here is, which I think is unique to sustainability, and then we'll see how that climate change links into that, is you have to turn a profit. You have to at least break even to be a productive member of society. I'm not sure of any other kind of environmental law, if you will, regulation or policy that talks about keeping people in business. That's why I think sustainability is important to the climate change debate and its issues, and as you consider it for your community, for your business, for your nonprofit, whatever.